Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Hurry Up Live. I'm your host, Adam. Let's go, baby! So, today is going to be a day for just combine chatter. As you can see right now, the combine chatter Giants style. So, here we are. It's combine week. It's been a while to get here. Actually, it wasn't a while to get here. It actually seems closer than it's been in a few years. The first few years that I remember the combine, it was you ended the season for the Giants, it ends in January. You had the Super Bowl like a week later, and then you would have to wait a month and a half, almost damn near have the combine. And usually, the combine was the last week of February into March. But here, and that's basically what it was, the last day. So here we are now, and I've never seen a more interesting combine start than this one. It's been a very interesting one. We had the quarterback yesterday come in, and now we have Kayvon Thibodeau and the guys coming in. They all come in at different times to get interviewed, weighed, medically checked, and everything like that. Today, they have the wide receivers, tight ends, and QBs going. So we'll make this a Giants edition. We will start with the Hey, Mac, what's going on? I have a couple of people in the chat already. How are you? I'll drop the link in the StreamYard in a minute, and you guys can come in if you got time. I know, Mac, you're working, but he's always looking for something to listen to, so I appreciate it, Mac. Mac is also my co-host on Premium Takes. Jade in the chat, what's up? Premium Takes is going to be airing this Sunday at 5:30. We will give you a full combine wrap-up, talk some NBA with you, talk a lot of stuff. But today, right now, is combine Giant style. Let's go. So if you know, Giants are down there. They had the GM and coach talk to the media. We can go into that in a minute. But this is a fun time of year. I know some people don't like the combine. I love the combine. I think there are certain things that you have to look at in the combine that you have to take with a grain of salt. For example, the 40-yard dash. Okay, the 40-yard dash is one of the most overrated statistics or stats that they keep in the combine. Sure, a guy can run, 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, but that's just the racing speed. That's not game speed. Game speed is totally different than just running a 40. People need to understand that. That's something that you see guys run a 4.4, and then they get on the field and you're like, what's this? Like, I look at Evan Ingram, for example, and I don't mean to bash the guy, but he's Evan Ingram. Right, and since it's Giants, I'll use him. He ran a 4.4 when they did the combine transposed bodies on each other in the 40-yard dash. What they ended up doing was they put Odell's body and I think someone else's body. I think it was John Ross or somebody like that on top of Evan Ingram. And then when Evan Ingram ran, he outran, Odell Beckham Jr. Obviously didn't outrun John Ross, but it was kind of showing you where they fell in the category. Now, the thing about this is that you're, first off, never going to be in a sprinter stance. They start him in a sprinter stance. Why in the hell would you start him in a sprinter stance? Are they sprinters? No. Why would they do? I just didn't. That never got to me. And I ran 40-yard dashes all the time. And the problem was with my 40-yard dash was I didn't know how to run like a sprinter. When you run like a sprinter, you're supposed to come out and then up. It's almost like when you dive in the pool. You don't want to dive down. You want to dive out, right? So you get more distance and enough gliding to go, right? In the combine, you're down in a sprinter stance, which most of these guys probably haven't done it or haven't done it since high school, right? And then you don't even get any blocks, right? You don't get any blocks put down to get a get off, right? So you're already in a sprinter stance, which when in the hell has the receiver ever been in a sprinter stance? Ms. Welcome, man. I'll drop the link in a few minutes. We can all talk combine. But when in the heck has a receiver been in a sprinter stance, right? You watch the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, you watch the sprinters, they have blocks. It's called getting off the blocks, right? Well, where are the blocks for these 40-yard dash times, right? The second thing about the 40-yard dash, right? The receivers don't do that stance anymore. So if you come out in the stance, I did this 40-yard dash when I was in high school. And the problem that I always had was I would gain my speed after 40 yards, right? So I'd be coming up on 40 yards. The person that would be racing next to me would probably be winning, but I'd be catching up to them because of my long speed, right? But the problem that I was having was I would be on the ground and then I would come up, right? So I would come up. So all that wind resistance came out. I didn't get the proper technique to do it. They were just like, put your hands on the ground and one foot back behind the other and go, right? So I think some of the functional purposes of the combine don't work for football, like a sprinter stance. You're never going to be in a sprinter stance. So, what's that about, right? What's that about? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that they're running with less wind resistance. You're running in I guess tights or a t-shirt or whatever you want to call it, and it doesn't make sense to why. And a lot of these 40 times push guys up, receivers, corners, running backs. The faster you run, the greater it is. But that doesn't mean you can you catch, right? And a lot of these guys have nerves and things like that. That's why the pro days are also a big deal, because a lot of the guys in the pro day, it's like practicing your backyard. Right, you know who the guys you're throwing to. The equipment manager. You can set up a normal, routine. You know what I mean? This is the type of stuff you can do if you're at the combine, right? At your pro day. So the combine is more of a showcase. It's more, I feel, for guys like a Kenny Pickett or a Malik Willis to kind of show that they can play football, or that the skill sets translate correctly when they are throwing the football around. That's what I would, look at the combine as, right? What you can't look at is that, you're never going to run like that, right? You're never going to run in tights. You're going to run in football pants. Now, maybe they put them in football pants and a regular receiver stance and maybe a helmet. We can go. We can really do that, because there's been a lot of guys that I've seen that have run, 4.2s, 4.3s, and they get in the field. They don't know how to run a route. Great. So you have 4.2 speed, but it doesn't translate. The one guy that the Giants have had, since, and we'll use some Giant comparisons since we are doing Giant style combine. And again, in a few minutes, I will drop the link if you guys want to come in and chat just football or combine stuff. But what I believe the best receiver the Giants have had that came out of the combine was Odell. And the reason I feel that way is because his breaks in and out of his routes were fantastic. That's why we beat him. Same thing with Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice knew he was beating you just looking at your feet. He's like, oh, gotcha. Right? Odell was the same way. He had such great hip movement. He had such great, head fakes that he would get off the line. Another guy, Kadarius Toney. The thing about Kadarius Toney, I like him, and he ran a 4.38 apparently at his pro day, which could be inflated, could not be inflated. I think he has a second gear, so I would love to see him return punts, and they dogged him last year. I think they made an example out of him. I know Brian Daboll's trying to get rid of the build rapport, but Kadarius Toney is like an Odell Beckham. His feet, his short shuttle, his change of direction, his start and stop, is what will separate him. That's what makes him scary, right? Because that's the reason why. All right, Mac, thanks for coming in. The start and stop is what you need in that, right? And Odell and Kadarius have that. And the thing about Odell was you couldn't play off him because he'd beat you inside on a slant. You couldn't play up on him because he'd beat you off the line and go. Kadarius Toney, I feel, has those same quicks. He's in and out of his breaks quick. He moves. You know what I mean? He does certain things that allow him to get off the line without having to do anything. And that, to me, is more impressive than running a 40 time. Because you look at a guy like John Ross, right? When have you seen that guy run like an 80-yard play? When have you seen that guy take it to the house from just a slant route? It doesn't translate all the time, track speed. Plus John Ross was an overrated receiver coming out. He only went in the first round, and this is what I'm talking about. He only went in the first round because of his combine 40 time. Mac, again, thanks for listening. Jaden Miz, thanks for being in the chat. And Jaden says, Toney is our guy on offense. He is going to be the guy on offense that I think we're going to run a lot of plays through. And what I'm mentioning about is, this is what I'm talking about, is he is a difference maker in the way of doing things, right? In terms of start stop. People are like, oh, he's going to get off press. He's a smaller guy. First off, Toney runs like a running back. That's one. Two, he is not. He has so many quicks and so many moves that if you're not careful, you're going to be flat-footed and he's gone by you. I think people are going to try to pigeonhole him into a gadgety player. He's not a gadget player. He's all tool, all purpose receiver. You don't draft a guy in the first round to be a gadget player, right? I know people are talking about Tyreek Hill. Guess what? Tyreek Hill was in the 5th round because he had a few issues off the field, but to be honest, the 5th round pick, you're taking a flyer on a guy at that point, right? So think of Kadarius Toney as a different receiver, right? He's got a little Jalen Waddle in him. He's got a little Tyreek Hill in him. He's got a little Odell in him. He's got a mixture of all three of those guys. So, when you look at the combine, you really need to worry about their acceleration. See, Odell had the best acceleration. And what acceleration is how fast you get from 0 to 60, right? I don't care. I don't necessarily care about a guy going, 100 miles an hour after his 40-yard dash, right? All I care about is how fast you can get up to it. But Odell got up to his speed very quick. So by the time you were in your break and trying to turn around, he might have already changed direction. He had great hips, right? Hip turn. Kadarius is very similar. So getting back to the combine, because this is what we're talking about specifically, is these type of plays aren't showcased in the combine. The combine is good for a few reasons. One, it's finally back. Remember, we had the hiatus last year, and the combine wasn't really a thing in 2020. It was kind of different. This year, it's fully back. Excuse me. It's fully back, and it's ready to go. And I'm excited to see it back, watch what they do, especially with the Giants being down there with Joe Shane and Brian Dable. Let's touch on them for a little bit. Brian Dable and Joe Shane. Joe Shane said a lot of things, and we'll get into a couple of the cuts that they made. We'll get into those. But Joe Shane said a few things that I want to address. One, he said he wants to field a competitive team. And to field a competitive team, not a winning team, a competitive team. Now, I don't want people to think, oh, well, Adam, it's the same thing. No, a competitive team means we want to win games, but this year we want to build. We want to build, get as many picks as we can, get these guys acclimated to our way of doing things. And if we win games, great. If we don't, at least we're a competitive team at the end of the year. So similar to what the Jets did a few years ago. Now, I don't want to get too deep into it because, I want you guys coming to Premium Takes because we're going to have all three opinions on that show. But these type of things are what you need to look for in the combine. The combine's also where trades are set up, both draft and both free agency wise, right? So let's talk about the cuts that they made. They cut Devante Booker, they cut Kyle Rudolph, and they're asking Shepard take a pay cut, a significant pay cut. Now let's touch on Shepard real quick. I am over with Shepard. I think he should head home. I think he should be let go. No offense to you, Shepard. You haven't been healthy since you started in 2016. Same kind of concept with Daniel Jones, but we'll get to him and the quarterback situation in a minute. And trust me, folks, I'm on the Daniel Jones let's go bandwagon. I just try to present to you an argument as to why he needs to get better. If he's the quarterback and he does well, I'll support him. I want to be wrong. I don't want to be right about that. But let's continue with Shepard, right? Shepard to me, is interesting because you bring him back on a cheap deal, it doesn't matter, right? He doesn't make it, you cut him. He does make it, you move on from it, right? He does make it, you have a valuable option there. Now, him and Daniel Jones have been a great chemistry, but the thing is, what do you do? Are you going to kick Kadarius Toney out to the outside, which I think he can play, right? I think he can really, really play. And one of the issues that Jaden is mentioning is what I'm talking about now is he's got injury problems. And this one, the injuries keep getting worse and worse. Last year a few years ago, it was the concussions and, hamstring. Last year he had an ankle injury. This year he's got an Achilles and he was injured prior to that. But when he came out, it looked like gangbusters. I mean, his first game of the year, he was tearing it up. So there's where you have one of those things. And I think, when they evaluate these things, maybe I don't know if John Mara is sitting in there, but I feel like this is a John Mara type of thing, right? They kind of scholarship guys, oh, well, Shepard's been such a good guy in the community and blah, blah, blah. I don't give a damn, right? We've seen him. Sometimes cutting bait doesn't mean you hate a guy. Cutting bait sometimes just means you want to move on from somebody. And that is totally, totally fine. Totally fine. You know what I mean? And so for me, I would love to see the Giants not see the Giants cut bait with a guy and see if he can land somewhere else where his career might be able to flourish. For all we know, he could be done, right? He could be absolutely done. And that's something that you don't want to have happen, but you also, how should I put this? You also don't want to lose out on younger players coming in because a guy's been sitting here, because you're hoping that he's not injured. Jaden, I'll get to your question in a second about what do we do with Barkley. Let me get to the cuts, and then I'll get to your question in a second. You heard Joe Shane wants first round pick for him. I think that's just a negotiating tactic, but again, we'll get into that in a minute. So Shepard, I think, should be gone, but if they restructure and he wants to come back, it's a great story. But realistically, is he going to be back for camp? I don't know. I can't. I can't deny that. I think Shepard's a good guy, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on it and say, yeah, he's going to be great. He's going to be great in this system. It's a new system. There's going to be new players here. I believe you need a whole new regime change, right? A lot of these guys, a lot of the problem that happens is the salary cap is an issue, so you don't want to get rid of players. But I feel a whole clean sweep is needed. So yes, let's get into the next cut. Kyle Rudolph, nice to see you. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. You had one of the biggest plays for the tight ends this year. I think Kyle Rudolph was a good idea, but a bad signing in the fact that he was injured. We still gave him money. That was a dumb idea. But, Dave Gettleman was a stubborn old man, and he wanted to give Daniel Jones some weapons. What he should have gave him was an offensive line. Because we all talked about this, right? They traded down in 2020 to get picks for 2021, right? Or this draft coming up, 2022. They traded down, right? So what they should have done was bring in offensive linemen, make a guy like Rashawn Slater. So you could have evaluated Daniel Jones. Now, if you evaluated him correctly last year, you could have said, you know what? We'll keep him an extra year. We don't like Malik Willis or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But here we are, and they didn't do him a service. So now they bring in Kyle Rudolph, who we thought was going to do well, but that injury kind of slowed him down. They got off to a bad start. They didn't utilize him correctly in the red zone and in chip blocking, and I think he was just washed. And I think it's good for him to get out there and this is going to be his career for the rest of the time. He's going to come in. He's probably going to land on a team like Green Bay or some crazy team like that, end up winning like a Super Bowl or something like that, just because that's how Kyle Rudolph is. And he'll probably end up being an announcer like one of his colleagues in Greg Olson, right? So, there you go. The other thing was Devante Booker. Now, this was interesting to me because it means two things. One, it probably means they're probably going to keep Barkley, right? But two, they could have restructured this guy. I think he was a serviceable backup. But now the Giants have like Antonio Williams and Gary Brightwell on the roster. I'm sure they'll pick up a draft pick at some point, or maybe a cheap free agent running back. But remember, the running backs were running backs by committee in Buffalo. So we'll see what happens there. But Gary Brightwell, give a chance to sign. But Jaden, let's get into Barkley real quick before we put up some of these other questions you have. First off, hearing that Joe Shea wants a first-round pick, I think that's one of those negotiation tactics. If you go to an antique store or a tag sale and you look at the price and the price is $10 for an item that you think is $5, right? You have to haggle with the seller. And I think this is a haggling tactic. A. B, I also think it means they want to keep him around and, value him. The only problem I have with doing that is he's a flight risk right now. Now, every season outside of rookie year, he's had some type of injury. His rookie season, he was pretty durable and pretty springy. And then, in 2019, he had the high ankle sprain, that led him that he wasn't the same after that. And then he, obviously in 2020, he had the knee injury, and then this year he had the fluky kind of ankle injury. But 3 years in a row he's had some injuries. Now, if he's healthy, he's a great back. The problem that I have with the Giants right now is, when do you trade him? I think you should have to trade him, mid-season if he's doing well, because if he does well and he walks, there's no way you're going to pay him and or Daniel Jones if they both do well. You just can't do it. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, we'll have the cap room. You're not doing it. You're not going to invest that much money in a running back like that. You just won't do it, especially a guy that's proven to be injury prone here and there, right? So just like that, we shouldn't do that. The next thing is that how they view him, right? Barkley may be a little disgruntled about the Jaden. I'm going to get to all your questions. I love that you're flooding them, but let me get to your Barkley question and your Joe Shane question, and I'll answer the rest of them that you have in this chat. So the other thing is that, and if you're available, Jaden, in a few minutes, I'll drop the link. You can come on and ask some questions and do some talking with me. But I just want to kind of intro some of this stuff, right? So Barkley might be upset. I'll put the link in now. Barkley might be upset because he might be traded, right? And I don't blame him if he wants to leave, right? I don't blame him on that. But I think the Giants, are kind of in a catch-22 because they really don't know. They really don't know what they're going to do with him. I think he's one of those players where you cut him, you save $7 million. You trade him, you get something back for him. You let him leave, you get a compensatory pick next year, right? So that could be the plan. Like, hey, let's plan for the 2023 draft, right? Miz, how are you? It looks like Miz is at the gym. Jade, you're more than welcome to come in.
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Miz, how are you?
I barely hear you. How's everything? What's going on?
Good. Good.
Guys. I was
There's
on the
Jade.
phone with the boys and I was in the gym. What's going on?
So we're talking Barkley here. Let me get in the camera. We're talking Barkley here. Jaden asked what we should do with him, and I'm explaining that the Giants are in a catch-22 because, if they trade him now, what are we going to get for him? A third-round pick, which I don't mind, right? But if we don't trade him, and we hope that the trade deadline, a team that's pushing for the playoffs, may want him. Well, guess what? If he gets injured, then you have nothing, right? So he's one of those players for me where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? So I'd like to hear your guys' take. Jaden, since it was your question, I'll let you go first, and then Miz, you can jump in right after him.
About which question? I have about like 10 of them.
You said about Barkley. We're talking about Barkley right now.
Oh, the thing is with Barkley, the main problem, he can't stay healthy. That's our main issue is with this team. Because every time we have a lot of injuries, it takes a lot of things away from the offense. And the same thing for the defense. I think the most we could get is probably a second. I don't know. I think the best we could get is a third.
Miz, I'll let you have.
I think the going rate I heard was a 3 and a 5, which I would, if we got off with a 3 and a 5, I'd do that right now.
I think
we're going
to
eventually have to move on from him.
The thing is, do you guys pay him if he has a good season? That's the question. Did you hear that? Do you guys? I said, do you guys pay him if he has a big season?
That all depends on.
I don't know.
What are we talking about paid? There's a difference between $10 million and $15 million.
Well, here's the thing. He's going to want to be paid like a second overall pick and then the top back in the league. So,
personally, I wouldn't.
But that begs the question, too. Like, if Daniel Jones doesn't come back next year, then maybe I sign Barkley if that happens. But if Daniel Jones has a good year and you want to bring him back, I can't have two guys tying up that money, both that are injured. That's just me. So that's the question you have to ask yourself. Do you want to let him go now and get something for him and worry about it later? Try to dangle him at the trade deadline and hope he doesn't get injured, or let him walk at the end of the season and get nothing but maybe a compensatory pick anyways, which will be like a third-round pick anyways. So you're kind of in a conundrum, right? So that's where we're at with that. Your next question here, Jaden, was should we bring back Lorenzo Carter, yes or no? That's a tough one. I'm thinking yes if you can get him on a cheap deal. Vince is saying no. The only reason I'm saying yes, and hear me out, is that Wink Martindale will probably know what to do with this guy. Now, the problem I have with Carter is the same thing I have with Barkley. He's always injured. He hasn't reached his ceiling, right? Do I want to keep a guy here that, has been injured, came on last year, I don't know. It's tough for me. It really is.
Yeah, I'll move on from Carter. And the thing with Barkley is if Barkley has a real good season next year, then I think the Giants will tag him for the following year, which we're gonna run into problems. But he might not want that. But whatever. What's the tag gonna be for 1 year on Barkley? Do you know?
Well, it's going to probably be like 15 million or something like that.
Yeah, so I think they would do if he had a real good year, like you're saying, I think they might do a 1 year thing. If Barkley's going to get traded, I think it's going to happen now.
Well, the thing is, they have a lot of cap space next year. I know somebody on another stream was like, you can sign both of them. Well, that's fine, but do you want to tie up all that cap space to two guys and not be able to sign other players? So, but to me, Carter.
If they form into what we thought they would be 2 years ago, both of them, if they really step up to that next level, then I'm sure they're going to probably find a way to keep them together. But that's probably not likely to happen, right? So.
And that's what I'm talking about.
I really think we're on a 1 year with Jones, and I think we're moving on.
You,
Jaden, what do you think? Do you think that's the same kind of sentiment?
Yeah, I could personally see it. These things with Lorenzo Carter, I want to give one more year. I also want to give just one more year. I think with Wink Martindale, I think he knows how to use Lorenzo Carter. Because for the whole season, I really wanted him gone. But towards the second half of the season, he started to prove himself. He could finally be that player that we was all hoping. Because I know last year during the whole COVID season, he was having a good year until he got hurt. And that's what set him back.
Right. I agree with you there. I wouldn't do more than like a minimum 1 year deal, not more than like $3 million or something like that, with maybe in some incentives. If you get 10 sacks, you'll get $5 million. But the thing that's interesting is Wink Martindale needs rushers, right? So if you can't rely just on a rookie, right? But there's a guy like Ellerson Smith. I like him. What is he going to do? He's a big guy they drafted last year. O'Shane Ximines, get rid of that guy. I don't want him back. I don't ever want to see O'Shane Ximines back. And that's nothing against him. I don't have anything against him. He could be a great guy, but for the Giants, he is terrible, right? And I don't think he fits this system that they need. Carter is interesting because you got to make the guys in the draft or in the combine, since we're talking about the combine show, against what you got on the roster. Now, if you think you can get a better guy in the draft, you absolutely, positively take that guy and you let Carter walk. The thing I like is they have a mini camp coming up in April, so they'll get an idea of what they want to do, right? So if Carter's not signed, let's say he's not signed on the first day, and you bring in your guys in the first week, you're like, I like O'Shea, I like Ellerson Smith, I like Aziz. I don't really need Carter because I like a couple guys in the draft. Well, then why don't you do that? Why don't you reset? I think that's a good plan. So for me, I would now talking with you, I'd let him walk. I'd let him walk unless I can get him on the cheapest deal possible, right? Otherwise, I'm not paying him more than a couple $1 million a year. That's the same question you can ask about Jabril Peppers. I like Jabril Peppers, but do I want to keep him next year?
That all depends. Personally, me, I'm gonna lean towards no. I'm leaning towards no. But it's a sense of leadership. That's what this good is gonna make him stay. For Logan Ryan, I think he should be cut now, honestly. This is some other players who could be cut, but I would like to see Quincy Roche on defense.
Well, the thing that I'm interested in is when Wink Martindale gets his team and he formulates his scheme, he likes to – I was listening to a Giant podcast earlier. He likes to scheme it up. So a lot of people are saying you don't need a pure edge rusher. Me, if Kayvon Thibodeau is there, I am turning in the card at light speed. Boom, I'm getting in there. I don't care what anybody says. That guy is the best pure edge rusher in the draft for me. I like Aiden Hutchinson, but I feel Aiden Hutchinson is going to be a 10-sack guy. But for Wink Martindale, you give me a Kayvon Thibodeau and you say that we can put him anywhere on this line, and away you go. You don't worry about nothing else. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I would like to draft him, but do you think our rival could jump in front of us and take that guy?
Yes.
Imagine if that happens again.
Yes.
Is he going to be available at 5 though? That's my only question.
The thing here's how I look at it, right? if he blows up the combine, he's not getting to 5, right? I anticipate him having a good showing. He's already said that he's interested in talking with the Giants, Jaguars, and a few other teams, right? So for me, he's ready to show up and show out, right? I know that everyone's talking about him not liking football, but somebody on one of these podcasts made a good point. They said Myles Garrett liked dinosaurs coming out, right? That was one of the things he liked. He wasn't really interested. He was like, oh, I like dinosaurs and whatnot, right? So everyone's like, oh my God, he doesn't like football. Like, since when do I worry about that? Then they're like, oh, well, he's not worried about losing. How many games did they lose at Oregon? Like, how many games do they lose a year at Oregon? Sometimes you got to look at the situation. If you're losing 2 or 3 games a year, no, you don't mind losing because it's only a couple games. We'll get them next year. If you're in the NFL, the same thing with Odell, right? Odell Beckham Jr. came in, and they're like, oh, they want guys that hate losing. Well, he hated to lose. He hated it. That's why he was so angry when, we would sit there and guys were sitting on the sideline like this. He's like, where's your energy? Let's go. Why are you not fighting? I hate this shit. We don't know about Kayvon Thibodeau because they've been a decent team in Oregon. So for me, I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at it, he wants to meet the Giants, right? Which tells me he's already excited. B, you don't think Joe Shane and Brian Dable are going to ask him those questions and find those answers out? I mean, Kadarius Toney is a rapper, right? Does that mean he doesn't like football? No, the guy produced every Sunday when he came out, right? So if I'm worried about that, like for me, like we have so many things going on in our lives to this day. You're in school, I have work, all this stuff, right? We have many different interests. Doesn't mean we don't have passion for what we want to do. All it means is that we are interested in more than just football, which to me is exactly what you would need him to do. You need him to have interest outside of football because that'll clear his mind. Him making rap records is another thing. Maybe for all we know, and knock on wood, this doesn't happen. He blows out his knee or rolls his ankle and never plays again. Now what is the guy doing? What is the guy doing? If he has a rap career to lean on, maybe that's when he can make money. Maybe he can start the headline for a Kendrick Lamar. If he's good. It's about connection building. That's all it is. These guys, social media has done this. In the 90s, when I grew up, you didn't know about anyone else's interest because social media wasn't running rampant around there. You didn't care, right? I mean, I think we put too much stock into what these guys do outside. If he's not getting into trouble, if he's not beating people up, if he's not, I don't even care if he smokes dope, but if he's not smoking dope or doing crack on the side, I don't really give a damn. Right? What he does on the side. As long as when he shows up on Sundays, he shows up. There's a guy named Aaron Curry that came out years ago for the Wake Forest, played for Seattle. Got drafted in the top 5 of the draft and basically showed up to get a paycheck because he got $65 million a year. Right? That was what he walked into. Now they have a rookie wage to go. You got to earn your money. So he'll be out the league quick. You know what I mean? You're not going to have the same amount of money to feed your family and take care of all the stuff that you want to do on your first contract. You know what I mean? And that's why Kayvon Thibodeau, I feel like, is being underrated because I think people are doing that to get him to slip because that's what people like to do around here. They like to make people slip. Look at Azeez Ojulari. That guy should have been a first-round pick. But a phantom knee injury from God knows when comes up. And he slips to number 50 in the 2020 draft. At the combine, they found this out. They'll do anything to drop your stock to get. This is all a game, Jaden. This is all a game.
Yeah, look, it's the same thing with Xavier McKinney. He was supposed to be drafted in the first round late, but he ended up falling in the second, and that's what we took him.
Right, because they worried about his coverage skills, and it was not a pure safety hybrid. And guess what? The Giants took him. They were like, "Oh my God, we can't let this guy go." And this is what's going to happen throughout the draft and the combine. You're going to see guys who are going to blow it up, who you've never heard of, and you're going to have guys like look at Jacoby Brissett. Nobody knows who that guy was. Threw a couple times at the combine and was drafted in like the 3rd or 4th round, and he still's in the league. Not a great quarterback, but he's still in the league. So this combine, I feel, separates you from being an also play. Like, look at Cooper Kupp. He is the best receiver in the league. You know what he ran in the 40? A 4.6. 4.6.
Yeah, because I know for Cooper Cup, I know he because he ain't get that many offers during his career.
Right.
So when he got to NFL, he just proved everybody wrong. He's one of the best receivers.
Right, exactly. So to me, the combine doesn't do anything other than show that. But his short shuttle and his 3-cone were the best in the combine class, which is what you need in a receiver. That shows you your explosion, your change of direction, all that stuff. One of the best in the class. So 40 is overrated. I think a lot of people have pumped the 40 up because that's what they like at the combine, and that doesn't tell me I can play football. As I was saying. Go ahead.
That's a fact for me. I really never cared about who's the fastest, who's the slowest. But if you got skills and everything else, that's all you really need in the NFL. For me, skills always more important. You muted yourself.
Let's talk about Evan Ingram.
Yeah, you muted yourself.
I muted?
No, but you're good now.
Oh yeah. I put the mic volume down the other way. So, anyways, Evan Ingram, he ran a 4.4 at the combine. When in the history of his career did it look like he was running a 4.4 on the field?
It looked faster than that.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I really never care who's the fastest, but if you could catch, if you have good route running, you have good cuts, good agility. That's what matters the most to me.
Right. It only gets you so far, though, Jaden. It only gets you so far because if you don't have the heart to be good and you don't put in the work, it doesn't matter. Right. And that's what I think people forget is this is like a cattle prod, right? You're bringing everybody, you're looking at the best cow, which one you want, you're poking, you're prodding, you're examining, you're looking under every crack and crevice to make sure there's nothing wrong with them. And at the end of the day, they're people. So if they don't want to come to work, right, or they don't like their job, or they don't like the coach, because that happens, right? I don't know if you have a job, I don't know your status or what you're doing, but if you don't like your boss, you're probably less likely to give the best effort there, even though you may be raised right to do that. You may not give the best effort, right? Because you don't like your job, or you're doing your job, but you hate it so much that you want to get out of it. These are things that are typical. The NFL is the same way. It's a job. Right? So you've got to like the people around you. They've got to make it good for you. And I don't think the last couple coaches really connected with players the same way that I see Dable trying to connect with players. I mean, he's listening to, Kadarius Toney's songs. Hey, Jeff, how you doing, man? If you want to join, I dropped the link in the description section. You're more than welcome. But let's talk about he says, thoughts on Shep, Martinez, and Bradberry. Well, we talked about Shep already. We think that Shep is going to be – well, I think he's going to be cut. Jaden thinks he should be cut as well. I think what's the point of taking a pay cut if you already got a guy like Kadarius Toney behind him, right, who can do some of the similar things, and maybe it's time to move on. Maybe you get Jamison Crowder on a cheap deal. He's healthier. He's in the area. He doesn't not coming off an Achilles injury, and you probably can pay him a lot less than you're paying Shepard. Plus, I like new things with my regime. I just want everything gone. If I could get rid of all 53 players and start fresh, I would.
Wait. That would include McKinney on the roster?
Excuse me?
Like on this roster? Wait. Like, you want to just get rid of everybody? But it's some players like you want to just keep for a certain reason, but I don't know.
Listen. I agree with you. I'll scratch that. I want to keep 50. I want to keep like 4 players: Andrew Thomas, Xavier McKinney, Kadarius Toney, and Azeez Ojulari. Those are the 4 guys that I can say right now I am not doing anything with. They can go. Everybody else, you can take a walk, okay? Because those guys I've seen produce. Xavier McKinney had a foot injury, produced this year. Azeez Ojulari came out at gangbusters. I cannot wait to see what he does with a year of, training, NFL training under his belt. Kadarius Toney, I'm just hoping that he can get over these ankle injuries so we can see him play. And then the next one is what I think I said, Andrew Thomas. Like I'm worried about Andrew Thomas because he had ankle surgery again, but he's a cornerstone player. The rest of the guys I don't like. But when you come in with a new regime, this is what happens to me in business. New regime team comes in, they look at everybody and they say, I want this and I need this. Like, for example, they have Brandon Brown, right? We never had an assistant GM here, really. An assistant GM outside the building. They brought somebody from a division rival in here to be an assistant GM. A lot of the staff is going to be cut on the scouting department, you know. But let's move on to Martinez. Martinez is a sad story because I really like him, and I think he's going to get the raw deal here. If I'm him, I probably walk. Say I'm Martinez. I can get a linebacker job anywhere, and they'll pay me good money. You know, it leaves us in a conundrum because you don't have any linebackers really on the roster. You have Jalen Smith. You have a couple of these young guys like Cam Brown, but are we really trusting our linebacking core to Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin? Like, I don't know, not me.
But I really think here's what really started everything. Ever since we got rid of Dalvin Thompson, I think that's what really changed the defense in terms of not stopping the run properly. Because you had him and Leonard Williams, who's a 1-2 punch combo. I think getting rid of Dalvin Thompson was a big mistake. And I think we traded him for Billy Price, I think.
No, we did not trade him for Billy Price. We traded BJ Hill for Billy Price.
Oh my God, that's
we
should have kept.
We let Dalvin Tomlinson walk and signed Dory Jackson and Kenny Galladay instead.
Mm-hmm. How's that?
And how did that turn out?
Guess what? Kenny Galladay got 0 touchdowns. Dory Jackson can't even catch a pick. How that going?
Well, the thing that pisses me off is this. You know, someone was saying Leonard Williams stinks. If you put in a guy who's a nose tackle like Dalvin, Leonard Williams is going to flourish. Now, in this system, they need a nose guard because they need a guy that's going to eat up blockers so they can use their system. So, for me, I'm kicking Dexter Lawrence down there, and I'm saying, listen, here's your fifth-year option. Go earn your money. You're 340 pounds. You should not be playing on the outside as a defensive end. You should not be. You should be inside, clogging the middle. I don't care about pass rush. See, the thing is, the Giants wanted him to be a pass rusher. You know, letting him be a pass rusher was the wrong idea because that's what Gettleman said. Oh, he's 340 pounds. What are you doing? Why are you drafting that guy? Why are you drafting a 2-down player in the first round? Oh, well, he's going to be on the 3rd down pass rush. Well, guess what? He's only had 8 sacks in his few years here, right? So for me, put him at nose. Draft somebody else, bring in somebody else, or even put Austin Johnson on that side if you want to bring him back. And then Leonard Williams would have the ability to be free. Getting rid of B.J. Hill also was a problem. Now, B.J. Hill didn't do much, but again, we got rid of him for Billy Price, who did nothing as well. B.J. Hill goes on to go to the Super Bowl. We can't even find a center that can snap the ball correctly. So a lot of these things are the issues that we're seeing from the old regime. And that's why I like this regime. Getting on to Bradberry, this is another conundrum I have because I like Bradberry. He didn't have a great season, but he ended up with the same numbers he had in 2020. He had like three interceptions, couple tackles, same shit that he did the previous year. Now, is he overpaid? Is Adoree Jackson the number 1 corner right now? Probably.
But here's one thing with Bradberry. Sure, he was in zone, not his fault, but it was at certain times where he was getting cooked one-on-one. There was a lot of times we'd have seen that.
Yeah. He was getting cooked. But the thing is, in Wink Martindale's system, they play a press man. So you need bigger corners to play that type of defense.
But the thing is, I really don't trust James Bradberry in a man press-to-press coverage or a man-to-man coverage. I really don't.
Well, man-to-man, no. Press, if you get him to press on the line, yes, because he's big. The problem is when you drop him off 5 yards, he doesn't get the hands on the receiver, then he gets burned, right? And then you push him because what was happening last year was they were doing the press man, and he was getting burned, and then they dropped him off 10 yards off the field, and he's getting burned underneath with slants. So for me, it's like, what are you going to do with him? And does he fit the system? That's why I think a guy like Sauce Gardner, look out for him, man. Look out for him. I'm not saying he's going to be picked, but he might be in the mix at 7 if they deem him valuable, right? Something that Max in the chat again for Dexter Lawrence, he said he was a decent pass rusher in Clemson, but this ain't the ACC, it's the NFL. Absolutely right, Max. Absolutely right.
I never liked Dalvin Thompson as a pass rusher. I felt like he was more of a interior D line, but when you put him there, I think he plays better.
Right, I agree, but the problem is that usually guys who are like 340 are usually nose guards in the NFL. They're not defensive ends, and in the 3-4 alignment, in this case, what the Giants were doing was doing an offset 3-4, which is kind of a hybrid 4-3-3-4 defense. Now they didn't have the personnel to run it. That's why it didn't work out. And then the running game was you can't have Dexter Lawrence outside on the tackles because guess what? Athletic guys are going to block him, and then they're going to double team him inside in the middle. He's a big guy. That push is what you want to see, to push those guards back, right? So to me, I would move him inside before I get rid of him just to give him a chance. Since we're giving everybody a chance in this new regime, that's what I would do for him, you know. And Jeff, if you want to come on, the link I'll drop it in the chat for you. If you're available to come on, you may be at an office working and not want to call in. You may be like me, working but also doing a live. So whatever your day is, we're just talking combine, talking Giants, talking trades. I mean, there's a lot of quarterback movement that might happen. Russell Wilson apparently might be staying in Seattle. Who knows? You never know with that. I think he's going to Washington personally. That's me, but we'll see what happens there. I think another thing that Joe Shane said about the combine was they're going to be competitive. Now, for me, that means we're not winning games to the same clip that we think, right? He never said we're winning. He just said, I want to field a competitive team this year. That tells me that if we win, great. If we don't, we're going to punt like the Jets did. Or we're just going to build a team that's competitive, that has NFL rosters. And I also think if Miz is correct, they're going to want to, get a quarterback next year. And the only way to do that is kind of just play it out and see what happens, right? Because if you're going for it, guess what? And you're short of expectations, the media is going to burn you. If you just come out and say, hey, we're going to be competitive, the media can't hold anything against you because there's no 7-10 record. There was no expectations that you met. And I think a lot of these guys, especially Dave Gettleman, used to put his foot in his mouth because he would, first be smug with reporters and then be like, oh, well, we're gonna rebuild and win at the same time. And it's like, no, that's not what you do. So I think their approach is good. There was something that was interesting that he also said was backup quarterback is important. I know that a lot of people don't like backup quarterback. I happen to think you need one, especially in this day and age where the quarterbacks are getting injured and a record clip because they're running the football more. I mean, even Pat Mahomes got injured, right? They brought in Matt Moore and he kind of, floated the team around. I do never want to see a guy like Mike Glennon again, a guy like Jake Fromm again. Get a guy in here, whether you draft him, whether you bring in a free agent, I don't care, to compete with Daniel Jones, but also be a guy that if Daniel Jones, who, let's be honest, 2019 injured, 2020 injured, 2021 injured. You see a pattern here. This guy's been injured. Why not bring in a guy to help that out? I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I'd love to hear them.
Out of all backup quarterbacks, I kind of want Marcus and Mariota out of everybody. Think it's with Mitchell Trubisky. Is he really that good, though? I've never thought he was good. As a backup, maybe, but I don't know.
It's interesting because that therein lies the problem. We're too busy worried about his status as a quarterback and not worried about what he can do. Say hi.
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 Hey.
This is going to be the new John Madden. Sorry about that, folks. Sometimes when you're working from home, you have to be a dad at the same time. So my son wanted to say hi and also eat a banana at the same time. He might be the next John Madden. I don't know. My second son, he's only 4 months, but he grabs the mic every time I'm on a live and he's next to me. He grabs the mic as if he's going to talk. So who knows?
Yeah, Adam.
Yes.
I think his son's trying to take over your channel. They trying to take over.
He probably get more hits than me, man. He'll probably get more fans than me. So, I mean, my channel is, it's been around for a while, but I don't do as much work as you guys putting in the tags and stuff as I should. But I try to just give a different take. Some people think I yell too much or whatnot. I'm just me. I can't be anything else but me, and that's what you're gonna get, right? So if you don't like to get yelled, don't listen. Or don't say something stupid. You know what I'm saying? So you say dumb stuff. Sometimes you're gonna get cooked. That's what happens in the content creation world. Someone doesn't like what you say. Be prepared to get cooked. Anywho, getting back to what I was saying. So Joe Schoen says it's an important position, one of them in football. So look for them. They already interviewed Malik Willis. They're probably going to interview a couple other guys. Doesn't mean they're going to pick them, but they're doing their due diligence. If you love Daniel Jones, why in the world would you ever be interviewing quarterback? I don't care what anybody says. If that's the position you think is locked down, why would you be interviewing? It probably tells them they're not ready for Daniel. So looking at me like this, right? It's like how should I put this? I'm trying to get a good analogy, right? If you have something that's fixed in your house, right? For example, you have a decent car in your driveway, but all of a sudden now you want another car, right? Why do you want to get another car? What's wrong with your car? Oh, you just want a new one to look at it? Like, why are you test driving something when you already got it? You're just trying to steal the show, man. Trying to steal the show. You look better than me. That's why. That's the problem, man. Everybody's gonna be like, who the hell is that ugly guy talking on the mic? Put that handsome little gentleman on. You know what I mean? Can you say hi, Jaden?
Hi, Jaden.
What's up?
He's Oh, you dropped it. Just throw that part out. Here, take this one. Take this one and throw it out. There you go. Eat that one. Go ahead. Enjoy. Anywho. But anyways, that's what I think. So I think the Giants will take a quarterback. They're going to need somebody. Like the Texans right now have a guy named Davis Mills on their thing. He has 9 passing TDs and 2 interceptions in the final 5 games of the 2020 season, right? So for me, if they want to build around him, he was a 3rd-round pick, mind you. So if they want to build around him, they build around him. If they want to take Malik Willis, they take Malik Willis. I look at it like this. I'm from the old school, right? I'm a little older than you are. I know I'm boring you, Jaden, but
no, it's not that. You said Malik Willis.
Well, Malik Willis, yeah, for the Texans, not for us. No, I don't think that. Here's my thing: the giant. I'm old school in my thinking. When I was brought up in football, you always drafted your quarterback and you would groom him so he didn't get, how should I put this? He didn't get, no confident, right? That's what. Look at Seattle. Perfect example. Seattle came in. They drafted Russell Wilson 3rd to back up Matt Flynn, who they dropped $65 million on, who had one good game at Green Bay. Just had Aaron Rodgers was injured or whatever, and boom, Matt Flynn comes in, tears up the league. Boom, they sign him. So they bring in Russell Wilson to be, the backup quarterback. Well, guess what? He outperformed Matt Flynn, so he gets to be the starter. The year they bring in Daniel Jones, they wanted to groom him and let Eli be the guy, right? And have Eli Manning kind of fall off. Well, guess what? Pat Shurmur was like, man, there are running lanes available. This kid can run. I'm putting him in because I'm going to save my job if we're going to lose. It didn't end up saving his job, but the philosophy was that. To me, if you like a guy, regardless of position, you take him and you let him learn your system. And the thing is, what people aren't realizing, it's not like 10 years ago or 20 years ago not even 10 years ago, right? In 2011, before the collective bargaining agreement happened, in 2010, Sam Bradford got paid the last high rookie quarterback that got paid. He got paid like $65 million or whatever it was, $100 million. Some astronomical number. And the veterans were mad because they were like, yo, why is this kid getting paid? He didn't do a damn thing in the NFL. Yet he's getting paid more than some of the veterans that have busted their ass for years. So they changed up the rookie wage scale. What does that mean? Well, it means you can do what the Cardinals did. You can draft Kyler Murray and then get rid of Josh Rosen because it ain't going to cost you that much money at the beginning of the year. So for me, you want to bring in a guy like a Desmond Ridder or you want to bring in a Sam Howell in the 2nd or 3rd round, fine. Bring him in because A, you're going to need a backup quarterback in this system anyways. B, You're going to need a guy who might be a bridge quarterback for next year if you don't keep Daniel Jones, and he's already in your system. And see, what the heck? If Daniel Jones goes down, now you got a young guy to come in here and get reps to kind of be your next apparent. I mean, the Giants did it 3 times so far. In 2017, they drafted Davis Webb, 3rd-round pick. 2018, they drafted Kyle Lauletta. 2019, they drafted fucking Daniel Jones, pardon my French. And in 2020, they didn't do anything. So for me, I'm looking at quarterback to be picked up at some point in this draft, even as an undrafted free agent. As for the offensive line, here's another thing that Joe Schoen said. They're going to look under every crack and crevice in this free agency period.
Oh, please. We need to.
He said that
we definitely need to look at offensive line. That's
right.
been killing me for the past 5 to 6 years. Straight watching that garbage.
More like almost a decade, right? You know, so
it's been killing us.
Right. The last time they had a good offensive line was 2012, right? Everything else has been really downhill since then, you know. And it's not like the Giants haven't tried to replace these guys. Justin Pugh, Weston Richburg, Eric Flowers, you know, Pugh and Richburg were injured, so they didn't extend them. They went on to Arizona and San Francisco respectively and had solid careers. Eric Flowers still in the NFL, playing for the Washington Commanders. By the way, that team name sounds like a USFL team or an Arena Football League, the Commanders. Like, terrible name. Should have just kept the Redskins. But so he's still playing. You had Andrew Thomas come in, drafted Shane Lemieux and Matt Pert, brought in Patrick Omame and Nate Solder. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's not like they haven't tried. The guys have failed. So we'll see what happens this year. I like Ike Ekwonu. I wouldn't mind Neal at 5 because I think they all possess different things. Even Charles Cross is good. Hell, the lineman in this draft is so deep, you can get guys in. I've heard from the draft experts, Dan Jeremiah, Dane Brugler, Bucky Brooks, Lance Zerline, Tony Pauline, whoever you want to talk about. They said that you can get linemen, starting caliber linemen, up into the 3rd round.
Yeah,
so,
look,
so me,
it's like this. At 5, we could get Ikem or take the edge, but you probably go to edge at 5. You take Kayvon. Then at 7, you could trade down those few picks. Then if Ikem's still on the board, you take him right there. You go a lot of ways in this draft.
That's why I think the Giants are going very well. Joe Schoen, I'm liking where he's headed with this team because he also said something else. He said the undrafted rookie free agents, right? Something that people don't think about. Those are guys that are going to be brought in as well. You know, those are guys that they can unearth and get more linemen that way. They have 5 linemen. That's right. 5 people. 5. My hand. They have 5 linemen. One of them is a starting caliber lineman, maybe 2 if you count Shane Lemieux. So they're going to have a lot of retooling to do. You know, they should watch HGTV because there's a lot of remodeling that goes on that programming, on that network. They need to remodel this whole offensive line. Make it, and I don't want to hear this. This is the thing I hate. People are like, oh, just draft a guy and put him in. No, you have to draft a guy for what you're running. Okay? Gary Kubiak used to run a zone scheme. He doesn't want big guys in that line because they're not going to be able to pull or move around. You want to pick guys that fit your system and give you great value. That's how I look at it. Okay? I don't want to just draft, Ekwonu because I need to draft Ekwonu. I want to draft Ekwonu because A, I need a right tackle, and B, he's the best right tackle on the board.
Yeah, for me, I would like to take Ekwonu because, look, I've seen his film in college. He could just block anybody. It don't matter. If somebody coming his way, he's blocking everybody. It's like you can't get off his block either. No matter what moves you try to do, he's blocking everything.
And I think he has the best feet of this draft. I think, people are, there's that not Creed Humphreys. There's a guy in the middle rounds that's a guard that I like as well. So the Giants have many options. Personally, I think you trade 7. If you get Thibodeau, you trade 7. You can get another tackle, which is pretty good. There's a guy from UNI that's pretty good. There's a guy from, I think, Nebraska that's pretty good, or Central Michigan that you can get. The Falele guy from Minnesota, they say he can go in the 1st round. So to me, if I can trade down, do what we did last year with Tony, except don't pick Tony, right? Trade down, get more picks, draft a tackle, and then you have, let's say you get a second round pick and a first round pick next year, or a third round pick this year, or another second, whatever. The Giants want more bites of the apple. Look for them to trade down, because they've been saying in this draft that from pick 1 to player 55, 60 are all plug and play players. They may not be great, but they're all plug and play starters. So if I'm the Giants, I need more guys like that. I can't wait from the second round at 36 to wait to my late third round pick in the draft to hopefully get another player. I need to figure out how I can get another pick in this second round and keep building, because everyone's like, oh, talk about next year. No, I want to talk about building this year for next year. You know what I'm saying? You can't just say, if they're not going to win this year, which it doesn't look like they want to. They want to, but that's not the onus. Right now it's to build. Then get as many picks in here, draft as many players as you can, get as much competition in there as well, and then let the 5 best offensive linemen that you pick up via free agency and the draft be your guys.
But here's the thing. Can the offensive line hold up going into that season? If they could somehow hold up, I think this offense can get somewhere.
I agree with you, but the thing that someone mentioned in a podcast, and I've said it many times, is when the line leaks, right? When somebody misses their block or somebody, gets beaten by like an Aaron Donald, will this quarterback panic? That's the question. Will Daniel Jones be able to move a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right? See, that's why guys like Malik Willis, guys like Desmond Ridder, guys like Mahomes and Herbert and even Kenny Pickett, you can see in their movement skills that they can move around the pocket. Daniel Jones, while he's improved in that area, hasn't proven it on a consistent basis. The thing that he's consistent at is A, getting injured, and B, just being an average quarterback. That's it. Those are the 2 things he's consistent at. He can't even run 80 yards without tripping. How do you do that? I laughed at him and I praised him. Listen, I like Daniel Jones. I know people think I hate him. I don't hate the guy. I just want people to realize there are issues and flaws in his game that are big issues that haven't gone away since he's been drafted. And these are the things that'll cost him and cost him. Look, three different offensive coordinators. 3. You're going to tell me now he's going to just magically, know the offense?
Or
the offensive
like
line.
this. His rookie year, he was able to run, throw. His second year, they try to make him a pocket passer quarterback. You got to stay in the pocket only. You can't run out of there. Like when he try to switch his game up, I think that's what changed everything. Because with that rookie year, you could have just worked on it. What was his issue was going to the next season. But when you try to change his whole new game, it just didn't work out.
I think what they did was too many RPOs. I think he can run an RPO, but the problem is that they want to run these new RPO systems, and that's not how you win in the NFL. Look at the Wildcat. The Wildcat came and went like the dinosaur. It was there, it lived, it had its time, and died. Okay? So with the RPOs, like, is he an RPO quarterback? No. Malik Willis is more of an RPO quarterback. Jalen Hurts more of an RPO guy. But do you want to run that play because you realize that on an RPO, if you take the ball on a fake and you're running out there, a D lineman can be like, you know what? I'm going to light you the fuck up because I think you have the ball. So I'm just going to take your head off. And so here you are, your quarterback's doing, and bang, here comes a defensive lineman who doesn't give a shit, A, and B, who's been told by his defensive coach, you take that quarterback out. I don't know if you played football, but I have. And one of the things that they used to say when a play fake comes in, right, and the running back gets to play fake on a play action, you blast that guy. Because if he has the ball, great. If he doesn't, you make him remember to say, hey, man, I don't want to go and get hit by number 97 again. He blew my shit up, right? So you're going to have Daniel Jones come around the corner on an RPO. So, here, case in point, everyone gets mad about that game with the Cowboys, right, where he ran that play and got drilled. Well, guess what? The play didn't work because the Cowboys knew what was coming. So, yeah, Daniel Jones was a runner, but they knew that he was coming around that corner. They knew that it was going to be a draw play. And his deal was one guy to beat. What happened was the safety didn't bite on the motion, and they stayed in their zone. So then 2 guys ended up being there, and 2 guys crushed them at the goal line. If that was a better executed play and they had a better play fake, that's a touchdown. But because it wasn't, and it wasn't executed properly, and the defense gets paid as well, that's what happens.
Yeah, the thing is, I just don't want to keep running that play with Dave Jones because we keep getting him injured. So,
well, the thing is, I agree with you, but he's injured himself. Okay,
Yeah.
He doesn't slide. He wants to run guys over against the Denver Broncos. Critical moment in the game. Drops back, 3rd and 9. Up, nothing's open. Takes the ball, running. 2 guys coming at him like this. Instead of sliding, what does he do? He puts his head down. They crunch him. Ball comes out. Basically, game over. Those are the critical moments in the game where you just need to live. Because if they punt the football or they kick a field goal, those are more points added on your team. These are things that a good quarterback needs to do. Because what I noticed with Daniel Jones is he'll make a mistake, and if that same scenario happens in the game, he'll correct it. But then the next week, he'll do the same mistake he did last week. I think he's in his head. I think he thinks he can make every throw on the field. And sometimes you just got to – I want to see what Brian Daboll does, right? I want to see if he'll pull him. Because sometimes pulling a quarterback doesn't mean you're benching him. It just means you need to cool off. I'm going to run with this guy for a little bit and need a spark. Because someone said today, I was listening, they're like, well, Daniel Jones got injured, but look what happened when his backups came in. They needed Daniel Jones. I was like, this is the reason why I wanted Daniel Jones healthy. Because if they stunk and Daniel Jones was still in there, we would have proven our point. Now we have 6 games to wonder what if. What if? We'll never know. We'll never know. But that's been Combine Talk, man. I love talking this stuff. I love this time of year. Let's get into another position, tight ends. The Giants are going to need tight ends because right now they have Caden Smith, and I heard that he's injured. I don't know.
A tight end. There's a few tight ends I've looked at. I looked at Jeremy Rucker. I looked at Trey McBride because I like him a lot because he played for Colorado State. Yeah. I really think he'll be really good with this team, especially with the rollout play action. He'll be really good for us in that.
I agree with you there.
It's a few other tight ends.
Well, the thing is, the Giants got to figure out what they're going to do because I think if you look at the Buffalo Bills, they had 2 tight ends on their team. They had Dawson Knox. If you look at all the teams in the playoffs, they all had some type of tight end, except for like Tennessee. They just don't have anybody. Offensively, they were a team that should have been probably the first seed, and they should have been in the Super Bowl. But of course, Ryan Tannehill is their quarterback, so the chariot turned into a pumpkin at midnight. So for me, I need them. I think they're going to go after a guy like O.J. Howard, maybe a Gerald Everett, somebody cheap. They're like, oh, Mike. Someone said Mike Gesicki or David Njoku, and the only thing I worry about with those 2 guys is the pricing. They're going to price themselves a little too high for the Giants. And I think if you're going to spend draft capital on there, you get like an O.J. Howard who can block, and then maybe you draft a receiving tight end. Or you take Gerald Everett as a receiving tight end, and maybe you get like a Rucker from Ohio State who's a little bit more of a blocking tight end, right? It really is what they want to do. I think that the tight ends in this class are pretty deep. You can get one in the 3rd or 4th round who could be a starter for you. I do not – unless Trey McBride blows up the combine, I don't see you taking him at number 2. I just can't. Just can't do it, especially if you haven't taken a lineman, because there's been a funny rumor going around where they say the Giants don't necessarily have to pick a lineman in these first 2 first-round picks, and I'm not really on board with that. I think you need to take something at 5 or trade down and get some type of first-round lineman, right? After that, I don't care. As long as they get a lineman in with one of these first picks, I'm good. You know what I mean? I think maybe a second lineman down the road. Like I think the Hub had a guy from Georgia in the 3rd round. I would, if you can get a 3rd round guard that you think is a plug and play guy, I'd do that. But other than that, there's 4 guys. I think there's 3 positions on the offensive line that are up for grabs. The second one I think is going to be Shane Lemieux. I think he's going to be the second starter, I believe so. People are forgetting about that guy. He was coming in going to be the left guard. So I think he'll be the left guard next to Andrew Thomas. Then I think they bring in a free agent center just because I think a rookie center will be brought in, but I think a rookie center hasn't seen everything, especially in the NFL. And I don't want to play him at guard. I want to play him at center, make him focus on one position. Don't worry about being a guard. Worry about being a guard in your second or third year. Don't worry about being in a first. And then what I would do is probably draft my right tackle, bring in another guard, another 1 year deal kind of guard, and then I would draft a guard in the second round or third round to replace that guard that you brought in from the 1 year deal, right? So your offensive line should be Andrew Thomas, Shane Lemieux, free agent center, free agent right guard, right tackle, and then filling out your backup should be your drafted guard or your drafted tackle and a couple other guys you bring in, right, to learn the system, groom, let these veterans kind of show you the ropes. You know that it's off the line. You know they're probably going to get injured, so these young guys are going to play. So that's what I want to see. And then not for nothing, Matt Pert's still on the roster. How do I know he's not going to, with this coaching staff, do well? These are things we got to talk about. Got to look into.
The thing is, what do we do with Nick Gates? Do we just get rid of him like that?
I don't think he's coming back this year. I think what will happen was they'll restructure his deal where they'll keep him on the roster and basically redshirt him this year and say, listen, come back. Well, we need this money. We still want to sign you. But dude, he has like 7 surgeries on that leg. There's no way that guy's coming back this year. Okay? This year. And he plays offensive line. Like, look at Alex Smith. Alex Smith came back. He bled out of that leg. He had all these issues with that leg coming back. And he didn't have the same velocity when he threw the football. Now you're going to tell me a guy who has 300, 400-pound guys, leaning on him all day on that bad wing, I would rather just be like, yo, Nick, we're gonna pay cut you, re-sign you, put you on IR, you rehab at our facility, and then come back. Come back the next year. But I can't rely on him as being the starting center. I just can't. That injury is too bad. It's too, it's like Joe. The eeriest thing is about the Alex Smith injury is and Nick Gates, but this is just funny, is that Joe Theismann had the same injury on the same day, almost at the same time as Alex Smith had his. Same date, same time, same leg. It was crazy. Nick Gates had the same injury as Rich Soybert. I don't know how old you are there, Jaden, but Rich Soybert came in around 2001. He broke his leg, I think, in 2002. Someone stepped on him, like, right there, like, broke that shit in half. And, he came back in 2004, wasn't the same guy. 2005, he actually came back and, became a starter. Nick Gates, though, I know that Max says here, Nick Gates is pretty determined to come back from the horrible injury. That was horrible. But you're right, the injury was horrible. Mac, I agree with you. However, it's good. I mean, are you really going to rely on that guy with a broken leg, 7 surgeries, may need a couple more for your center? I can't do it, man. I just can't. I love the kid, love his work ethic. That's one of the gems that Dave Gettleman found. But, geez, man, that injury he's basically snapped his leg in 2 places, like a twig. You go outside, find a twig, and snap it. That's what happened to Nick Gates' leg. I can go. If my computer could move, I would do it right now. I go outside and find a twig for you and show you what it's like. Because I don't care what happens. That guy is. I just can't do it, man. Jane, you brought up a good point. I just can't do it. I can't rely on him for this year. Next year, that's a different story. We'll see how his leg comes back. But this year. I think for me, I would even bring Billy Price back. I know people are thinking I'm crazy, but I'd bring him back just because of, having a backup center. You're going to need one anyways. Why not bring a guy in here already? He's going to be cheap. Ain't nobody going to sign Billy Price. You can get him on a dirt cheap deal and be like, yo, all right, dirt cheap deal, Why not?
But in terms of the other offensive line, like, we heard Nate Solder is going, oh, thank God he's out of there.
Oh my God!
It's like other people. I'm trying to think who else is on that offensive line that I really hate.
Let me read you some of the players that are on this offensive line right now. It's not a full roster because it's not on Wikipedia. and they won't count some of the guys. They count some of the free agents. But for right now, we have Andrew Thomas, Nate Solder's gone. Matt Pert still on the roster. Corey Cunningham's a free agent. I don't really want that guy, but he's gone. Devery Hamilton, I have no idea who the hell that guy is, so I'm not relying on him. Will Hernandez, see you later. Shane Lemieux, probably a starter. Wes Martin is interesting because they acquired him via waivers, and he's a guard. I'm not saying I want to start him, but at 6'3", 315, 26 years old, he was on the practice squad. I'll keep him around. Matt Sakura, kick rocks. Ben Bredesen, probably going to be kept as a backup guard because they use a fourth-round pick on the guys in the trade. So you're not going to want to, use up your investment like that, right? Billy Price, 50-50 on the guy. Kyle Murphy, I'm interested in. They've kept him around for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the team. And then, of course, there's Nick Gates still on the ball club, but I don't believe he's going to be there. So that was one site I looked at. Let's go at Giants.com. Maybe they have a different set of guys they're looking at. Give me a second, people, while I pull up the roster.
Hey, Adam.
Yes.
You know one thing you could do? You could share the screen so everybody could see it.
Oh, okay.
You could do that, Adam.
I'm not very good with this Zoom thing, so we can do that right now. Let's do that. Let's try to share the screen here. Okay. Is that this? No, that's just us. That's us. I'm not very good at sharing screens, so you'll have to excuse me while I. Oops.
You know how you click on share, you just click on the tab, and then it'll pop up.
What other tab?
Like you click on share.
Oh, share. You're right. Cool.
You click
extra
share
camera
screen.
Was extra camera or video? Oh, share screen. There it is. Yeah. Share screen. So we want to share this one right here. So let's do that. Let's get that one up. Okay. So we're going to share that. Okay, so this is now in the screen. So we'll go to Giant.
Oh, you just have to out the tab though.
Huh?
Where's the thing you're trying to show us? Is it on?
I'm trying to show. Yes. So here is.
There you go. That's how you do it.
Okay, so here is the team. Okay, I want to subscribe later. I don't care right now. So we'll go to the team and just look at their roster. Sorry, my computer is like from the 70s, so it may not be there. So here we go. Let's go down. There's one offensive lineman that's on the roster right now. What the heck? So we have a tackle. Corey Cunningham. Do you really want that guy? No.
Guess what? Can we please get rid of Riley Dixon? Oh my God.
God.
How is he still here?
Oh my God. Then we got a new punter, though. So we should be able to get rid of the guy. I would not want him here. Like Colin Gillespie. What a waste that was. What a waste. 2 fullbacks? Who does that? Will Hernandez, gone. Let's see. What else? Long snapper. This guy we need to sign.
Yeah, I would keep Julian Love. I actually like Julian Love for this.
I'm interested in this guy, Bernard McKinney. I'm interested in keeping him. He played pretty well for us down the stretch. Chris Myrock. Like, really? That's going to be your tight end? Please.
I don't know who Stephen Park is.
He's some bum. Don't worry about him. He's not going to be on the team. Elijah Penny. Are they going to keep him? Billy Price. Look at this bum.
I don't like him. Guess what? Reggie Ragland.
Yes.
You could pretty much pack your bags. Yeah.
Aaron Robinson, I like him. Quincy Roche, I like him. John Ross. Logan Ryan.
Danny Shelton. That's the guy I really hate on defense.
The funniest part is we all loved him when he signed. We're like, oh,
I didn't.
You didn't love him?
No.
But look how big he is. 345, right? Let's see if Dexter Lawrence is here. Since it goes in, I think it goes in who knows what order it goes in. Oh, it goes by number? No, it doesn't go by number. I don't know. Oh, it goes by last name, right? So let's look at Dexter Lawrence here. There he was. Dexter Lawrence. 6'4", 342 pounds. Now, let's go down to Danny Shelton. 6'2", 345 pounds. Now, why is Dexter Lawrence playing the end when we could have used him where Danny Shelton is? You know?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Matt Skura. Oh, he needs to
Don't worry
go
about this.
now.
He's not on the roster. They're just showing him because
I
technically
don't like. I hate him.
the league year hasn't started, so they can't get rid of him yet until the league year starts. Here's my dog right here. This guy's a dog. I love this guy. You know, at first I was a little skeptical, but now I'm on the Kadarius Toney bandwagon. And then this guy, kick him to the curb, get rid of him, and Leonard Williams get a haircut. You know?
What?
So I'm going to remove sharing my screen. But the point is, we don't have a lot of,
I think I know what the problem is. We don't have like good depth for this team. We don't got like great depth for these players. Because in terms of the draft, you really want to get the best value like out of it. That's why every time we do mock drafts, whatever, we try to get what's best for this team.
right.
You know, we try to get many players and picks as we can.
Right.
That could be the future.
But I think the mock drafts are good and bad. The reason why mock drafts are good is because you get to see players that you don't never normally see, and you get to have fun with it, right? Why mock drafts are bad is because you make 7,000 mock drafts, things change. Oh, here's Miz. He's back. Hey, Miz, welcome back. Welcome back, Carter over here. Now he's got a different outfit on.
First of all, we're the only team in the league that carries 2 fullbacks.
Exactly. Who does that? Who carries? For what reason do we carry 2 fullbacks? We didn't even use the guys. We didn't even use them.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Why do we?
Like
why
I've
do we
always
have
said,
two fullbacks? Like
I'm
cool. I'm
fan
cool
of
with.
Dexter. I think Dexter could be a monster for us for years to come. He's young. He's very good. We just need someone to develop him a little more. We haven't had that. I like Leo because I think Leo is actually a really big defensive piece.
He's good.
Anyway, we paid him, so he's going to be here for
Where's
another
Booker?
year or 2 at least.
I'm cool with Elijah Penny. For the other guy, yeah, just pretty much just get out. Just get out.
Well, the thing about Elijah Penny is, like, I want to see Barkley with an actual fullback, right? Why not have a guy come downhill and hit somebody?
Thing is, can Barkley block?
I don't care about Barkley blocking. He sucks at blocking. I'm saying that he's never had a fullback to kind of ward off one of the linemen that's coming in, right?
Yeah.
Why not use him? I mean, I'm old school like this. If you're on the field, you need to be able to catch the ball and do something for me. So if you are on the roster just taking up a spot doing nothing, get off the roster. I can use a tight end back there. I'm just tired of guys.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
How do you carry 2 fullbacks, and I didn't see once all year one fullback lead block for Barkley in an I formation run? You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I understand Judge is about special teams, so he probably carried them for that. But still.
Yo, Miz. Or it's like this. Why the hell did we draft Gary Brightwell? He was gonna get 2 snaps for the whole season, and then just treat him like dog shit.
Well, that's my point. That's my issue. Is like,
I don't get that either.
How in the world are we still sitting here, not using Gary Brightwell? One, right? Because you brought him in for special teams. He didn't have any special teams tackles. You brought. You know who also pissed me off? Nate Ebner. Nate freaking Ebner. He took up a roster spot doing nothing. What, to comb his hair? What is, what was some of the roster moves that Joe Judge did were just like asinine. I know he won special teams, but use him on defense. And then he gets used on defense and gets cooked.
Yeah, here's the problem with special teams. They couldn't even tackle for the whole season. They was missing so many tackles. I don't know. It's like we suck at special teams.
Well, I think what the problem is that Joe Judge's philosophy was let's grind out wins, right? Because the offensive line was so bad, and those things. Let's grind out wins. The problem is when you don't have a defense that can get you points and get the ball back on a major clip, you end up losing games because the other team will find a way to score. They'll find your weakness, and they go out there. It's the NFL. It's not like college football where you don't have to worry about playing because you're playing Appalachian State, so you're better than them on the field. These are NFL players. They know how to play. The thing that I'm excited about is this offense is going to be exciting. Whether we have, Mike Glennon throwing the ball or Miz throwing the football, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting, right?
Yo, here's the one thing.
Traylon Burks is on screen. Traylon Burks, he's talking right now. He's
Hold on, Adam,
Yeah.
I got a guest for you.
Oh, there he is. There's a little chooch. Hey, we're on screen. Can't be doing that, man. You don't want me to be getting banned for your middle finger.
Fuck you, Adam. Can't hear on this phone.
Oh,
Hey, Adam, I think I know what to do. Let's get Miz at linebacker. He'll be a really good linebacker with the Giants.
Tell Bucco that his boy Traylon Burks is on screen. He was on screen.
Hey, yo. Oh, that was Chris Bucco? That's what's up.
Bucco's busy with the stocks.
Oh, he's with the stocks and trying to
Wait. How in the hell?
Here's my thing, bro.
How
We're not even
Bucco?
We're not even coaches in the NFL, right? We're just fans that watch the game. We understand the game real well. If you struggle on offense last year because you don't have an O-line and a lot of your receivers got hurt, right? How do you not change the game plan to a 2 tight end system with a fullback and bring the offense in and run an old school I formation football game? Wouldn't that help your offense and your quarterback a lot more?
Thank you.
Makes no sense to me. And you have 2 fullbacks. And you have 2 running backs.
Why can't you, exactly, Miz? Why aren't you running?
You had tight end.
You know what? And these are the people I hated playing Madden. The people who would use goal line in the middle of the field, right? Why don't we do that? Why do we take a play out of the Madden playbook and run like our big personnel in the middle of the field and just run down their throats? You had the best running back, at least we deemed, in the NFL, right? And we used him. He gets 500 yards. Like, what is this crap? Like, why not look him up, use Rudolph on one side, Caden Smith on the other, and then Elijah Penny, and then Barkley in the backfield, right? Or if you want to do 3, you can even put Evan Ingram as the 3rd tight end and motion him out and then utilize him on these screens. Like, there was no offensive creativity to help the quarterback out. And that's why Brian Dable is going to be such a great asset, because he's not going to sit there and let Daniel Jones get pounded. He's going to say, all right, Daniel, this is what you do well. This is the guys we have on the team. Let's not just do this dumb plays and keep running the same shit and hoping it works. Let's try something new.
Hey, I think I know what our biggest issue is. We're so fucking predictable on defense and offense. It's like teams already see it coming. It's like we see it, but the coaches don't realize it. It's like how we see it coming, but our own coaches don't.
See, that you brought up a great point there. And that is how the defense starts to watch film on you. They understand what you're doing, right? When they watch film on you, that's what they're going to know, that you have no friggin' offense. You're running the same shit out there every play. And then what happens? Oh, you try to run an RPO, but the defense is waiting right there. Like, I'm watching Miami right now. They just did a play action RPO, had a guy run up the sideline. We do an RPO, and the Dallas Cowboys know because we ran the same play last week. So then Daniel Jones can't get into the end zone because the defense is ready for the RPO. So then he injures himself because, of course, he doesn't want to slide. He's like, let me go. I'm 225 pounds. I can take on this 250-pound linebacker plus his safety. And then he gets injured. And then we have Mike Glennon play. And then my other thing is, why is Kadarius Toney not even being used when he was there in the season? You could have used him as a punt returner. You could have used him as a reverse guy. No, you punished him.
But the thing is, look, you see Toney play quarterback. He's versatile on offense. He's really versatile.
Like, Miz played football back in the day, right? I'm going to ask Miz this question. If your coach had a player that he liked, wouldn't you just get a couple plays in for him just to get him acclimated?
Of course. It makes no sense. The guy Judge, he had an ego. He put him in the doghouse for the first four weeks. We ain't good enough to put someone in a doghouse for 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And they don't even use them the right way, to be honest, man. They just don't. It's so fucking obvious when they were going to hand him the ball on the end around. It was so obvious.
Right.
I guess what
a couple quick screens. They never did that with.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I think I know what the thing is. We
By
need
the
to
way,
fo-
by the way, the man has a 65-yard arm. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
yeah.
Why
Or
didn't
it's
he
like
play quarterback? I would have taken him over Mike Lennon. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You
or
could
if the thing is it's like
Well, you could have ran a couple of wildcats with him with Barkley in the backfield. You know what I mean?
right,
You could have done stuff.
right.
Like you said, they weren't creative. So
But
or like
I'm gonna go on for another about 10 minutes because by
yeah,
then it'll be
Adam.
12 noon and I'll need some lunch.
Yeah.
good run here, Adam. Good run. I'm talking about you. Good run here. Nice stream in the morning.
Hey,
Yes.
Miss, we think you getting drafted.
Quarterback,
Yeah, I really want
today's
to time
QBs
this
and
to the
wide receivers.
Giants.
Today is QBs and wide receivers and tight ends at 7:00. So what they're gonna do, I think, is
Tight ends.
tight ends too. So it's
Hey,
gonna
I'll
be
be honest. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if the Giants end up drafting 2 tight ends in this draft. I wouldn't be surprised.
I
In the
don't.
later rounds.
I think they're gonna get one early, and I think they'll get one late. They're definitely going to bring in like OJ Howard type guy, But this is Combine Thursday, people. Thanks everyone in the chat. We're going to be closing up the stream in about 9 or so minutes because this guy's hungry, and I need to eat some lunch. Talking to you guys makes me hungry, right? So, and I'm also hungry. Am I off? No, I'm not off. I work from home, so there's a downtime I work from home and there's a downtime in my job, so I'm just chilling. Just chilling.
By the way, we will do a big Blue Scoop panel. We will have a lot of people like we did 2 weeks ago. I think we'll do it over the weekend. We're just waiting for some of the combines to get over with, so we have stuff to go over.
Right. So today was just basically a preview of the combine and talking about Joe Shane and the state of the Giants. And then there's going to be my show, our show. Premium Takes is going to be on Sunday. We're going to recap the whole draft, recap the NBA. We'll have Big Blue Scoop, which will give you play-by-play, blow-by-blow, instant analysis on players who are in the combine right now. Stocks up, stocks down. And I am going to right now let Miz and Jaden go just so I can close out the show. But guys, thank you so much for being a part of the morning hurry up. It's been a pleasure, Jaden. It's been great. Sub up to these guys' channel. Miz has Midday with Miz. Jaden has his Jaden the Champ has his channel. He talks sports, plays Madden, does a lot of good stuff. He's a great content creator coming up in this game. And then you have these two guys have been supporting me for a while, so I really appreciate them coming on today and giving their thoughts.
Yeah.
Any last words, fellas?
Oh yeah, last words. Get Miz at linebacker for the Giants.
I'm past that age, brother. I take one shot and you'll be scraping me off the bread.
All right, fellas. So I'm going to let these guys go, and I'll close out the show for you guys. And enjoy, fellas. Thanks for coming on. Mac, thanks for being in the chat. Jeff, thanks for being in the chat. But this is Combine Thursday, and it starts today, folks. The road to building a better team starts today. So today, like I said before, they have wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks. I'm sure we're going to see so many quarterbacks being talked about. It's not even going to be funny. Look out for a few of the other guys because I think the Giants are going to do a deep dive in quarterback. You're going to probably see them bring in a guy here that they can run a couple plays on. I know that Jaden said Marcus Mariota. Well, look for a guy that may have Marcus Mariota skills in the later rounds as an undrafted free agent. Remember, Daniel Jones is not cleared to practice until August. So when they do OTAs, will he be the guy running the plays here? You're going to need a guy in here to do that. You're going to have Davis Webb in here. So you're going to need tight ends. They have a mini camp coming in April 4th. Okay, April 4th, the Giants attend mini camp. Okay, and so basically what that means is because they have a new coach and a new staff, they get to join a lot, I think about a week or two earlier than most staffs. So this allows them to get a stranglehold on their roster. Remember, they're going to need 90 guys, so it's going to be a fluid situation. But they'll get to see the attendance and how many guys show up. They'll also get a bit of an idea before the draft because they'll probably have some workouts or some meetings on who's committed, who they're going to get rid of, things like that. Free agents will not be there because obviously, thank you, Miz. Obviously, they will not be able. The free agents won't be able to participate because they're not under contract. So. But you'll see guys there. There'll be giant news from April to about mid-June with OTAs, and then you'll get a break, and then you'll have training camp starting up. And I think the Giants also get to come in a little earlier this year. So look for the Giants to do a lot of things this year. Watch this combine closely, especially the first one. The edge class I think goes on Saturday. I could be wrong about that, but look for that. The combine's always fun. And then, at the end of the combine, they usually have the corners and safeties go, and that's always fun to watch as well. Now, again, don't take too much into the 40 time. Just understand that just understand the Giants are going to be looking for hell and high water for offensive line help no matter what. They're going to use undrafted free agents. They're going to take in free agency. And mind you, this is the combine, right? We're about 2 weeks out of free agency. These are where deals happen. They're going to try to keep them close to the vest because once they leak out, you don't want those things to leak, especially if you're trying to get a guy or position yourself in a different light. So, anyways, people, enjoy the combine. This has been the Hurry Up Live. Thanks for joining me today. I'm out.